Friends, relatives, I want to say good afternoon to you all. Kakiao no teimtik, no ako magnak, tanashkamun. Tanashkum tinuak, kakiao, kiteyak, iskoyak, napayak, uskayak. My friends, my relatives, I greet you all in a humble, respectful way. Our leadership, Chief Lonechild, our new FSIN chief, has been in office for 5 months. And he's shown strong leadership on this issue. And he asked me to be here this afternoon to bring greetings from his behalf and to show and tell you all that the FSIN supports you all in this initiative, supports you all in this endeavor, supports you all and backs you up 150% behind this initiative to keep the doors of FNUC open. You know, we say we're in treaty territory. You know, we're in Treaty 4 territory here. And as Indigenous peoples, when we signed that treaty nation to nation, we said we'd share the land with our newcomers, brothers and sisters here to Turtle Island. And in exchange for sharing, and that principle of peaceful coexistence and mutual respect was two very important principles. But one of those rights that was promised in exchange for sharing this land was that right to education. We will teach you the cunning of the white man. We will teach you the cunning of the white man, and we'll provide that little red brick schoolhouse on the reserve when your people are ready to settle down. The spirit and intent to education. The way to survive is through an education. To close that socioeconomic gap is through education. To invest in our young people is through education. Our elders always tell us, like long ago, Kayas, that buffalo gave us food, shelter, clothing, and weapons. We say now what is going to give our young people, these ones here, is that education. It's going to give them food, shelter, clothing. That's what we need, is that education now. We've told you before, you don't have to be elected to be a leader. You don't have to be elected to be a leader. To the young men and women here, you are showing leadership. You are showing and demonstrating your commitment to FNUC. You are being leaders. And this is not a protest. This is not a protest. This is political activism. Political activism. To create that awareness, to create that education, to create the understanding that if people cannot get behind that treaty right to education, at least look at it from an investment in the future. Invest in the fastest growing segment of today's population, and that's First Nations population. Invest in that human capital so you continue to do business, so that you can continue to have opportunities to jobs and employment and careers. That's what this means. It means a bright future not only for our people, but for this province and indeed all of Canada. Because the university is a place. The Indigenous University, the First Nations University of Canada, is such a unique institution, not only in Canada but the world. It's a repository for Indigenous languages, Indigenous teachings, our worldview, and the acceptance to get an education where you're supported, where you can be successful. No other institution can say that. The Indigenous University is unique. And we're calling on both levels of government to come back to the table. Restore those dollars, restore those funding, because it's too important and vital to the future of this country, to the future of this province. We call on them now to do that as soon as possible. The last points, and people have talked about, there is a big conference in Saskatoon. And the irony of it all is that one of the most important institutions was not invited to go to that post-secondary forum in Saskatoon right now. That's the First Nations University of Canada. Weren't invited. And then our partners, the University of Regina, weren't invited. Two of the key players in all of this, they're not there. So Minister Norris, we call upon you again to open your eyes. Premier Brad Wall, open your eyes. Prime Minister Stephen Harper, open your eyes. Minister of Indian Northern Affairs, Chuck Strahl, open your eyes and see the need to come back to the table, to put that funding back to FNUC as soon as possible. So on behalf of Chief Lonechild and the executive, we support you all. Do not give up the struggle. Do not give up the fight. Keep strong, keep united, utilize the elders in a good, respectful way, and hang on to those ceremonies, because this is going to turn around in a good way, in a stronger way, in a better way for these young generations and future generations to come. Keep it up.